We're going to make sure the sound is still working and then jump into our lovely debrief or briefing today. So please stand by 1 second and we will get going. Bit fuzzy, so we'll give her a clean. So sound's working. Camera is not the best, so let's see if I can edit that. But if not, we're just going to deal with it, and I appreciate you dealing with it. Close some of these windows. It looks a little better, so we're going to go with it. We're going to jump into this briefing. So cheers to you, retail trading team, and cheers to Globex, because that's the only time it seems that we can have sustained trends in this lovely March market that we have. So yeah, so this is going to be your routine briefing, and we are going to jump right into it, starting with today's warm-up. I'm going to put on this screen. Let me just kind of move some stuff around. We have an active trade here, so I'm trying to navigate all my lovely little windows. So we'll go here. I got another one over here. And yeah, so bear with me. Still out of office, so still making my own special offices at my parents' house. So if you hear the clock in the background, that is my dad fixing the grandfather clock. So hopefully it's adding a nice and not annoying soundtrack to this briefing today. Oh, hello, Fernando. Nice to see you. A new chatter. Not a new person. I know Fernando, but it's nice to see you in the chat here. So yeah, sorry, Fernando, if this is your first time tuning in live, for all the disorganization and various eccentricities, we'll say. We're just going to jump in and get going with stuff that really matters for you. So, looking at the warm-up, the takeaways are pretty simple. You saw that really interesting down move overnight, really big trend. I'm very envious of anybody who is trading a system like Barb during that European session, because you got essentially from 52 to about 71. So you got about 80 points almost of just straight, no, not almost, you got 80 points of basically just straight down move without an uptick. So really nice trend in that overnight session. We'll see what they do as volatility continues to increase through RTH so far. So we will get to the charts shortly. I just want to point out that you did have that net short overnight inventory, but it was not 100% net short. So I think that gives a lower probability of those squeezes that we sometimes see. That can be painful for anybody with a short position. And then just want to point out that the open itself was one of those open rejection reverse kind of choppy-ish opens favoring the bears, but again, we're seeing this balance act kind of play out so far in the session, where we don't have that convincing break of the low and resumption of trend. So the profile today, I think, is normal variation. It's starting to play out now as we speak. We're actually starting to see the bears take over a little bit, and if you look at what normal variation does, it's when we have the trend, it consolidates, then it resumes. So we're going to be watching for that migration of balance, which I will look at in the TPO, and hopefully you'll look at with me as we get going here. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to talk too much about Barb today. There's really nothing new. Just like this document, you can go to the description of this video to get this document in the day trading, in the routine trading folder. You can see those day trading mechanics, and you can see how Barb's doing if you want to take a closer look by just going to this tab on the warm-up document here for the trade log, and you can just see what's going on there. So not to talk too much about that today. I want to just point out our levels so you can see volatility is obviously increasing, and this was taken at the beginning of the day. VIX is now up more than it was then, so this IVX of SPX, let's see if that's moved. Because if so, I'm going to go ahead and adjust it. No, still hanging about 26.2. So I think that's a little understated, especially if we start to really move. So just be watching these zones. These are SPX levels, so right now we're slightly below that expected move to the downside. So watch if that holds or watch for reverse here, and then keep in mind a potential outlier move. If we do really start to go and get below 3,800, I think you may see some continuation. So again, these are SPX numbers, not ES. The ones that are marked SPX, important to remember, especially now given the disparity between the SPX and new ES contract. So ES numbers are going to be that new contract ESM3, and you can see my primary levels today, which just correlate to the barb levels, the overnight high, overnight low, prior day high, prior day low, and then the 15-minute opening range high and low are going to be those levels for today. And this is N, and this is 0.5 N. So again, if you want to learn more about exactly what's going on here, I encourage you to pop open that routine day trading document in the routine trading folder, and you can learn more that way. So moving on from the warm-up, and I see our friend Juiceball is in the chat saying that my SPX open is incorrect, and he is for once incorrect about that incorrectness. But I do have to give a props to Juiceball since he's here. I gave it to him yesterday. I'm not sure if he saw. You'll see just a brief edit to the barb mechanics that kind of take into account the benefits of polynomials. And 1 second, he said I'm wrong. I'm going to double check before I continue my compliment. 38, 76, 74 is the open, Mr. Juiceball. That is not what Tastyworks has, and I'm going to go with the Tastyworks open just to keep that consistent. So maybe in your fancy crystal ball, you have a different opening number, but Tastyworks says that it's that 77 number. And if I look at the pretty candlesticks chart, I do see the same thing. So call that fake news, Mr. Juiceball. Fake news. I'll go back one more time, check one more chart. Just to see. Yep, nope, definitely that is the open. Although at the close of that opening bar, I believe we're at 65. So yeah, open itself was at 76, 74, but the close of that opening bar was 65. So you are right. You're somewhat right, but I just always go with that first opening print, just again to keep it consistent with the Tasty Trade metrics, we'll say. So moving on from bickering about where exactly the SPX open, we all know where it's going to close, probably right around here. But in all seriousness, yeah, so that's the warm-up document. We're going to move on to price action and see if we can't extrapolate and figure out something cool that's that we can trade off of, as I seem to be nearing another lovely stop out. So I'm going to go right into the daily macro chart, start us off here, and let's see what we got going on. So more of the same here, really. Where you saw yesterday, we got a rejection at that trend line yet again. And where are we? Well, we're now kind of straddling this downward sloping trend line here. So price itself is below it. If you look at, did I just get stopped out? Let's see, I'm going to watch this so I can be happy or grumpy depending on the outcome. So I'm going to go like that if you guys don't mind. And we're just looking at these major trend lines. You can see we're convincingly below that VWAP. We are again below this trend line. We got a nice rejection here yesterday. So we're kind of back to that bearish posture in my opinion, where as long as we're below that trend line and now we also have that VWAP to look at, it's reasonable to assume that bearish assumption. So nothing fancy. As has been the case for a bunch of these briefings now, it really just comes down to volatility, but yet more importantly, the price action that we're seeing at these trend lines. So there's another lovely stop. Um, just a amazing and fun market. This is so yeah. So that's the macro look. Again, I don't really think there's too much to talk about there. So moving on from here, I'm watching for 11 o'clock. If we do close here, I get a nice little long signal. So we'll see. Looking at the TPO, which is right here. Again, really not too much to glean from this, in my opinion. Again, it's just chopping around that same old 3860 on SPX area. If you recall from last year, I know Juiceball slash otherwise known as OJ and I have been going back and forth. This level has been super magnetic for really almost a year now. It's really just popular level, I guess. So on the TPO front, if we're looking at it on a more granular type look, I think we just have to watch what happens as we obviously break that overnight low, confirming that bearish assumption, and also as we start to move up here, if we do get any type of bull move, watch these singles. So you can just see them marked here at 39.20, 39.30, 39.45-ish, and then 50. And then really this area here right now is potential what's called an island reversal zone, where the value of the subsequent profile is outside. It's not overlapping between the profile before and the profile after. So as we pop back into that area again, that's where we got rejected yesterday. That's going to correspond to that significant trend line. What happens there? And those are kind of the levels I'm looking at there. So downside is pretty simple. We break the low of tonight. I'm looking for continuation, and I do think if we do have that continuation, you're going to see a more dramatic sell-off. So I don't think we're going to bounce here again. Maybe you might have a quick little fake break or one of those fake out bounces, but if they do really get it going, volatility holds, you're going to see, I think, a move below and probably deep into excuse me, deep into that 3800 area, starting with 3805, but very possibly much lower. So I don't keep fibs on my chart, but just something to note is that is a large fib wall apparently on whatever fibs you're looking at across various fib views. That area, that low from the other day corresponds to that. So let's see if we get another entry live here. Make sure everything is set up. So higher high will give us that entry. So just stand by in case we get it. So 95.75 gets us in. And then we're going to go right to volatility, and I will let you go. So as we're sitting here, let's see if there's anybody else in the chat. Oh, hello, Mr. Dale. Thank you for joining our lovely briefing today. Great to see you. We're not raving here, and I do not have my deck with me, so I will spare your ears from the lovely sounds of electronic music. And thank you, OJ, for that for that definition, and Dale for that lovely punny interaction as well. Which reminds me, if you haven't seen The Last of Us, I can't say it's the best show ever, but they have some cool puns in there as well. So yeah, sure, there's a plug. I guess we're not getting the entry right away, so I'm going to go ahead and move to volatility just so I don't keep everybody too long. And I'm going to move volatility to a different area here. So I'm not going to give you that full view just in case I get that entry. Actually, let me pull up a chart here. I'll be watching it on this. So volatility is really super important. Obviously, as mentioned 50 times and constantly mentioned in the briefings, it's all about those trend lines. Really, yesterday's high and the high of the day before seems to be kind of the bare line in the sand. So for me, that's one of the most important levels. And then it's going to be about watching how everything corresponds to this volatility chart itself. So there's a lot of lines on here, I know. I try to eliminate the ones that are not so important. So really what I think is important to focus on is how volatility is behaving relative to its high. So yesterday we had this kind of downward sloping trend thing going on. I'm not seeing any particular pattern, but overnight we popped it, tested it, and broke it. So this was kind of the end of the day. We tested it with that cute little squeeze, and then we popped overnight. So now we're at that first bit of resistance. Currently, kind of trying to bounce off it. Yet, really, for me, until we start making that higher high and holding above that 2840 area, we got to be looking for a double top, especially with what you're seeing during these RTH sessions. I can't harp on it enough. There's just no continuation consistently. It's always overnight. They have their fun, and then we pop and we chop at RTH at these predictable levels. Specifically right now, that 3860 level. So let me see, you're about to get an entry. Baby. Coffee. Okay. So we're not. So yeah, just to round off the briefing, as we await the tape to lead the way, watching that trend line. Yesterday's high, major level. Today's low, major level. Pretty simple. As we point out in the TPO, you have all these levels in between. So if you're kind of looking to trade around those, I'd probably not necessarily screenshot unless you want, but just kind of mentally note the levels that we got going here, as I think um, those are the most important ones to watch for the day. And as mentioned at the beginning of the brief, you can go to that document in the description of the video and see the specific warm-up levels I'm looking at, and then that routine trading folder if you want to play along with this strategy, which is not having a good March because we're not trending in March. Yet if you check those numbers, you go to that RBAF tab, still working out. So that is what I have for you for the price action and various routine trader musings for this briefing. I'm going to check the chat here. We're having discussion on where you can look at IV and Tasty. Is it possible for you to show? It's on a different computer, OJ. 1 second, I'm going to get an entry. But I'll guide you in a sec, so just stand by. Or I'll put one hand over here as I do that. So are you talking about IVX? If we keep having days like this, I'm gonna switch to probably Irish coffee mixed with some sort of hallucinogen, just to pretend that I'm having a green day. Okay, still not getting that entry. Okay, so let me see if I can pull it up here. So I can't pull it up here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you my computer here. So I'm gonna do this little wonkily. That'll work. So in the top left, so I'm just gonna do this slowly, and then, um, you know, this is the best I can do with my current setup. So you see this top left here, where it says recent symbols or any of your watch lists. Let me know if you see that. Current IV of the underlying. That's much easier. And yes, Dale, I will definitely tell mommy and daddy that you say hello. Okay, so if you want the underlying, what we're gonna do in this little box here, I just put in, let's say, SPX. Okay, so you can see SPX is up. Maybe you can see it. So looking at SPX, 1 second, I'm about to get an entry on this computer. Maybe. Fifth time's a charm. 95, 95.75 gets us in. There we go. All right. So then you go to trade. So there's a trade tab on the side here. Go to trade. And then if you go to the far right, you'll see IVX, and it'll tell you the IVX of the underlying for the given expiration cycle for the options. What I use, though, is it's really difficult. What I use, though, is there's a little scroller on the side here. If I just arrow over, you can see IVX right there, maybe. And I use that IVX. So currently that IVX is marking at 26.2 on SPX. I'm going to go back to the chat and see if that helped at all. Did that help you at all, OJ? Dale, I have not asked mom and dad if I can do mushrooms at the house, but we'll we'll see about that. How's that? All right, I'm gonna assume I'm not seeing you guys say anything in the chat, so I'm gonna assume that that question was answered, and if not, I'll pop on a Zoom later and we can figure it out then. But yeah, it's the add-on because the IV in the option chain is going to be different from the IV within the underlying itself for obvious reasons there. So, anyways, if you're not on Tasty and fascinated with the intricacies of the platform, sorry for keeping you here because that's all I have for the briefing today. So, I hope that you enjoyed hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the lovely puns and hallucinogenic discussion in the chat. And even if you didn't, you can come watch this thing on Twitch. I'm not going to have any music just because, again, I don't have my deck. So I'm just going to live stream the day as I potentially make money or continue to lose it. And I'll be there until 2. So come join on 2 or come join on Twitch. And you can also tweet me at Routine Trader with any thoughts, questions, concerns, more puns, more hallucinogenic discussion, whatever floats your boat there, so to speak, and I will be happy to engage. Subscribers to the email, which is going to come out post haste. I just see it's past 11 here, so I'm going to get that out immediately. You can also reply to that. If you're not a subscriber, it'd be super swell if you got involved there. You get the routine briefing nicely packaged in your inbox every day, as well as a screenshot of that warm-up document and a fun statistical fact. So besides that, obviously you can comment in the comment section of this video itself. And if you did enjoy today's content, I'd really appreciate you giving it a like to help with YouTube's algorithm. That would be doing me a favor and would be very much appreciated. So I'm going to take one more peek at the chat. Looks like we're good. So it's time to trade. Thank you all for watching and stay classy until tomorrow. Cheers.